All right, folks, what's up? It's the Salty Vet back with a 4th of July video. Happy Independence Day to all those who celebrate it. I was thinking about, in conjunction with the state that the country's in, that the world is in, and I thought about, what is freedom? What is that? And not to get super philosophical. I hate when people do that, although it's sometimes helpful to me personally. So I did some research, and this is what I came up with. And the takeaway from this, hopefully, is that there is no freedom without responsibility. Period, full stop. And we don't, I think, live in a country where most people accept the full brunt of the responsibility they have. So I'm going to read this, so pardon if I cut away. Freedom is America's most sacred ideal, emblazoned in its founding documents and echoed in its national identity. But in chasing this ideal, something essential has been lost, and that's personal responsibility. Increasingly, Americans demand rights while dodging the duties that make those rights sustainable. This erosion of responsibility isn't just a cultural shift, it's a slow unraveling of the very freedom people claim to have. And there's a few reasons for this. One is the paradox of hyper-individualism. Now, I'm totally guilty of this. I am an individualist first and foremost. And our culture champions that individual freedom. But when that morphs into I owe nothing to anyone, it creates a shallow version of liberty. Responsibility to oneself, others, and society is what gives freedom structure and meaning. Without it, freedom becomes chaos, entitlement, or self-destruction. And there was a quote here, I don't know who said it. Freedom without responsibility is not liberty, it's a license. Number two, the rise of blame and victimhood culture. It's tempting to blame others, the system, politics, parents, or the economy. Often those critiques have merit. But when blaming becomes a lifestyle, personal agency disappears. Growth stalls. People no longer ask, what can I do, but rather, who did this to me? And this is accountability, which is a very close relative of responsibility. And it's a chalky pill and nobody likes it. It's hard, but without it, there's no healing, only helplessness. And this might be the biggest one. Consumerism and instant gratification. The U.S. economy thrives on indulgence, but buy now, fix later. Swipe, scroll, spend, worry about the consequences some other time. This fosters a culture where discipline, patience, and foresight are all seen as optional or even outdated. A society that runs on dopamine will always struggle with duty. And this brings me to our elected officials. And I think this third reason is why the same people get elected over and over and over again and yet do really nothing. And it's because our sense of entitlement, they give you crumbs while they get rich. And you're happy, you're all too happy with your crumbs. We don't want to wait for the weight loss. We want to take a shot. We don't want to work through our issues with a therapist. We want to take a pill. And maybe a pill and therapist is the answer. I don't really know. Everybody's different. But my point is, we want everything now. We don't want to do the hard work it requires. We don't want to delay gratification in any way, and I'm guilty of this too. But that delaying of gratification is why, in part, we have the government that we have. We have the government that we deserve because we put these assholes there. and everybody only cares about their little section of the world and not about the ramifications of what was promised to your little section of the world. And therein lies the problem. And I can give you one analogy that sums it up perfectly. If you're one of these assholes that goes to the grocery store and doesn't take the time, the 30 seconds that it takes to put your shopping cart in the corral, you're the problem. Because you're entitled. You prop it up on the median. Some people I've even seen leave it in a parking spot for some poor bastard to pull in and hit. That's part of the problem. There's no responsibility, and nobody has ever held that person accountable for doing that specific act. And that's just where we're at. So don't question why we have the government we do. Ask yourself, why did I, personal accountability and responsibility, vote for that person? Now, in some cases, realpolitik, politicians are going to lie, right? Can't get around that. The guy sitting in the Oval Office right now lied to a bunch of us about a bunch of different stuff. Nothing you can really do about that. You can only take somebody at face value. But think about what your freedom really means to you. And are you taking full advantage of that freedom without shitting on somebody else's day? Don't be the problem. Don't be somebody else's burden. Don't make your problem their problem unless they offer to help you with said problem. All right? Y'all have a happy 4th. Be safe.